It starts with the sound of laughter that isn't his. Ethan stands by the hallway, listening to his parents and sister plan Chloe's graduation getaway. They're talking about oceanfront suites, champagne, and sunsets, as if money grew from the walls. Then his mother's voice cuts through, calm, rehearsed. "We just used what was there. He'll understand." His stomach knots. He rushes upstairs, opens the folder where his life savings should be, and finds only air. The numbers on the bank screen mock him. Every shift, every weekend worked, gone. His father's footsteps approach. Ethan shuts the laptop, pretending not to know. But in his chest, something hardens. Something that will never go soft again. Morning light creeps through the blinds, cold and judgmental. Ethan sits across from his parents at breakfast, their smiles brittle. Linda slides Chloe's itinerary across the table, her tone sweet but rehearsed. "Family sacrifice makes memories," she says, like it's wisdom. Ethan nods faintly, fighting the tremor in his voice. He asks if they ever plan to tell him. Mark mutters, "It's still our money, son," and Ethan's spoon stops midair. For a moment, no one breathes. The room feels smaller, the air heavier, as if the truth has weight of its own. After school, Ethan walks past the travel agency window, eyes catching a bright poster of the same tropical island he heard about. Inside, Chloe laughs with a friend, flashing their parents' credit card like it's proof of love. He watches her through the glass, a world apart, realizing the invisible hierarchy in their family. He isn't the son. They've made him the provider. The reflection in the glass overlays his face with the vacation paradise, two realities colliding. For the first time, he doesn't feel hurt. He feels awake. That night, he listens through the wall as his parents talk about how Ethan's too sensitive. Linda's voice softens only when she says Chloe's name. He turns off the lamp, lying in the dark, replaying every moment he worked late to save that money. Every sacrifice, every time he said no to himself so they could smile. His chest tightens, not just with anger, but with grief. He whispers to the ceiling, "You took more than money." Days later, Ethan finds the old envelope where his grandfather's name is written in fading ink, a name his parents never speak of. Something compels him to keep it, hidden beneath his mattress. He doesn't know yet what's inside, but he feels it pulsing like a secret waiting to breathe. When Chloe waves goodbye with her suitcase, his parents cheering behind her, he doesn't wave back. He just watches. The envelope pressed in his hand, like a promise that one day they'll remember what they took and who they made in return. The house feels quieter without Chloe, but not calmer. Her laughter still echoes in the corners, like perfume that won't fade. Ethan moves through the days pretending, smiling at breakfast, nodding at his father's half-hearted jokes. Yet every small sound, the kettle, the rustle of mail, feels like static against his skin. When he opens the bank statements he printed from years past, he sees the pattern. Missing transfers, always from his account, always before one of Chloe's special moments. Birthdays, holidays, broken hearts. His hands tremble, but not from shock anymore, from realization. It wasn't one betrayal, it was a tradition. He watches his parents from the porch that evening, laughing over wine like guilt never touched them. Linda's laughter rings too easily, too light. She looks at her husband with the same eyes she uses to manipulate, gentle but heavy with intent. Ethan studies them as if seeing strangers. Their love looks rehearsed now, like actors mid-performance. He realizes they never raised a son. They raised someone to fill the gaps when their choices caught up. The next day, his father asks him to mow the lawn. Ordinary words, but they sting. "We all do our part," Mark says, like there's no irony in it. As Ethan pushes the mower under the noon sun, sweat mixing with anger, he imagines the hours of work that built his college fund. Ours, his family, repackaged into luxury for someone else. For the first time, he doesn't want to earn anything for them. The grass beneath the blades folds and breaks. Perfectly neat, perfectly gone. In his room, Ethan stacks old school awards, report cards, and recommendation letters. Proof of his worth. Evidence that should have mattered. He thinks of every time Linda said she was proud of him. How those words now sound like currency. He places the documents back into a box, labeled college. Now just another relic of promises broken. When his phone buzzes, a text from Chloe, a photo of her cocktail under a tropical sunset. He stares until the image fades to black. Night deepens, and the house creaks with quiet. Ethan hears his parents whispering downstairs, their voices muffled but sharp. He catches fragments. Hell, get over it. He's always been dramatic. The same words used to dismiss every pain he's ever had. He closes his eyes, and in that darkness a thought blooms. If they built their peace on his silence, maybe it's time their peace ends. The storm outside mirrors the one inside him. Quiet lightning flashing across his reflection in the window. The attic smells of dust and forgotten intentions. Ethan climbs the creaking ladder, flashlight trembling in his hand. Boxes labeled old files and memories line the wooden floor. He's not sure what he's looking for, only that something in this house doesn't fit. He opens one box after another until he finds a thick brown envelope, brittle at the edges, stamped with his late grandfather's name. Inside lies a folded legal document, its ink faded, but words sharp. Transfer of property, beneficiary, Ethan Cole. His breath catches. The house, this house, has belonged to him since he was 10. A chill sweeps through him, equal parts rage and revelation. They didn't just steal money. They've been living inside his inheritance. He sits cross-legged on the attic floor, reading every line. Legal jargon becomes a map of betrayal. The trust fund wasn't just for tuition. It was protection, a safeguard from the very people meant to guide him. His grandfather must have known something Ethan only now understands. The document even bears his mother's signature as guardian, agreeing to maintain the property for Ethan's future. He whispers the words aloud, testing them against the silence. Future. The word sounds foreign now. They used his present and gambled with his tomorrow. Downstairs, his parents laugh faintly at a TV show, unaware their lies are unraveling above them. Ethan's pulse steadies as a plan forms, not out of vengeance, but clarity. He folds the deed carefully, sliding it into a new envelope marked with today's date. This isn't just proof, it's a mirror. Tomorrow, he'll take it to a lawyer, someone who will finally confirm what he already knows. For once, the power isn't in their approval. It's in truth, inked long before they ever learned how to lie. At dawn, Ethan walks the quiet streets toward the law office, the world around him still half asleep. The envelope feels heavy in his backpack, not with paper but with years of silence. Inside the office, the attorney, an older man with tired eyes, reads the document slowly, then looks up in surprise. Son, this deed's valid. This house, it's yours. The words echo in Ethan's chest like a heartbeat he didn't know he'd lost. He thanks the man quietly, stepping back into the sunlight, the air sharper now, cleaner, almost forgiving. Back home, Ethan moves through the house differently. Every wall, every creak feels reclaimed. He touches the banister his father polished, the photos his mother arranged, the door frames Chloe once slammed. They've all called this theirs, but it never was. He slips the verified deed into a lockbox under his bed, sealing it like a secret waiting for its moment. In the mirror, he meets his own eyes. No longer the obedient son, no longer the background character in their story. For the first time, he feels ownership, not of a house, but of himself. Ethan moves like a ghost through the house that belongs to him. He laughs when they laugh, nods when they speak, cooks dinner as if the world never tilted. Linda comments that he seems more mature lately, mistaking calm for forgiveness. Inside, every gesture is deliberate, every silence sharpened. He copies the deed, scans it, saves versions in places they'll never think to look. His father thanks him for mowing the lawn, and Ethan smiles, because soon they'll realize the grass they're standing on isn't theirs to praise. He starts helping more around the house, asking his parents about their day, complimenting Chloe's vacation photos when she calls. His voice stays steady, but there's a new patience beneath it. Predatory patience. Mark mentions how proud he is of family unity, and Ethan almost laughs. He's learned the art of pretending from them. Now, he wields it better. In his quiet hours, he speaks to the house itself, whispering to the walls his grandfather once owned. "You're safe with me," he murmurs, a promise only the wood and memory can hear. One afternoon, Ethan visits the local notary under the guise of a school project. He verifies every stamp, every signature, every line of the document once more. The woman behind the desk confirms it without question, sealing her approval. "You're lucky, young man," she says. "Few people your age have this kind of security." Ethan thanks her softly, slipping the folder back into his backpack. The word lucky lingers in his head. Luck had nothing to do with it. It was betrayal that built his foundation. That night, he hears his parents laughing again from the living room, an echo of everything false. He walks down, sits with them, joins their laughter like an actor slipping into his role. Linda asks about college applications, pretending to care, and Ethan tells her he's thinking locally to save money. She beams, proud of his practicality. He studies her face, the confidence of a woman who still believes she controls the game. But he already holds the winning card. The smile he gives her is kind, almost loving, and utterly final. Late at night, Ethan sits at his desk with the deed before him. A calm rain taps against the window, rhythmic and grounding. He writes a short letter. Simple, direct, explaining everything they took, everything they hid, everything that's about to change. He doesn't sign it. He seals it in an envelope and places it inside the lockbox beside the deed. Tomorrow, during Chloe's welcome home dinner, he'll set it all in motion. Not with rage, not with shouting, just truth, laid bare under their own roof. The calm before the reckoning feels almost merciful. The dining room glows with candles and the illusion of family. Chloe's laughter fills the space, louder than ever, as she scrolls through photos of her trip. "You should have seen the villa," she says, oblivious. Linda and Mark beam with pride, raising their glasses. Ethan watches, unmoving, a quiet storm behind calm eyes. When the laughter fades, he places a thick envelope on the table. "Before dessert," he says softly, "there's something we should talk about." His mother's smile falters first. His father's fork stops midair. And Chloe's voice, usually unshakable, falls silent. He slides the envelope toward his father. "You took my college fund," he begins, voice level. "But that wasn't all you took." Linda opens her mouth, but he continues, his words steady, surgical. "The house deed, it's mine. Grandpa made it so when I was 10. Silence hits like a sudden vacuum. Mark blinks, disbelieving, while Linda's color drains. Chloe laughs awkwardly, thinking it's a joke, until Ethan drops the copies of legal papers onto the table, the official seals gleaming in the candlelight. "You didn't steal from me," he says quietly. "You've been living off me." Mark's voice breaks first. "Where did you get this?" Linda reaches for the papers, trembling. "You don't understand what this means," she pleads, tone cracking between anger and fear. Ethan's expression doesn't change. "I understand perfectly," he says. "You've been living in my house, my inheritance, my future." The clock ticks louder than breathing. Chloe whispers, "Ethan, it's just a mistake." But he turns to her, calm and certain. "No, Chloe. The mistake was thinking I wouldn't find out." Linda stands abruptly, tears spilling over fury. "After everything we've done for you," she shouts, "we raised you, fed you." Ethan's tone stays measured. "With my money," Mark's voice booms, "don't talk to your mother that way." But the authority rings hollow. Ethan leans forward slightly, his calm cutting deeper than any anger. "You had 2 weeks," he says, "2 weeks to move out." The words settle like a verdict. For a moment, no one moves. Then the silence breaks. Not with argument, but with the sound of Chloe's quiet sob. The night ends in fragments, voices raised, doors slammed, footsteps on creaking stairs. Ethan stays at the table long after they've gone, staring at the scattered papers, the half-empty glasses, the burned-down candles. He doesn't feel triumph, only release. The house feels heavier now, every wall echoing their disbelief. He gathers the documents, folds them neatly, and whispers to the dark, "Now, you know what it feels like to lose what's yours." Outside, wind shakes the trees, but inside everything is still. Morning arrives, but the house doesn't wake. The air feels heavier, as if the walls themselves are mourning. Ethan sits on the porch with his coffee, listening to the quiet shuffle of boxes being packed inside. No shouting now, only the dull rhythm of consequences. Linda moves past him without a glance, mascara smudged, eyes hollow. Mark drags a suitcase to the car, muttering to himself, the sound of a man who's lost control of his story. Ethan doesn't speak. He just watches them prepare to leave his home, the one they once claimed as theirs. Justice doesn't always roar. It sometimes whispers through silence. Inside, the rooms echo. Family photos come off the walls, their absence leaving pale rectangles where memories used to hang. Chloe stands in her old bedroom, staring at her reflection in the vanity mirror. Her voice cracks as she whispers, "He really meant it." Down the hall, Ethan watches without gloating. He wants to feel anger, but all that's left is exhaustion. Chloe meets his eyes through the mirror. "You could have just talked to us." He nods slightly. "I did. You just didn't listen." Mark finds him later by the garage. "You could have handled this differently," he says, voice trembling between anger and regret. Ethan looks at his father's tired eyes, the same ones that once looked past him for years. "So, could you?" he replies. "There's no venom, only truth." Mark lowers his gaze, unable to argue. He squeezes Ethan's shoulder before walking away, that single touch saying, what pride won't let him voice remorse. As the car engine starts, Ethan feels a strange peace. Not victory, just the weight finally shifting. After they leave, the silence is vast, almost holy. Ethan walks through each room slowly, his footsteps the only sound. He opens windows long sealed, letting sunlight and wind pour through like baptism. The house breathes again. Dust swirls in beams of light, spinning like ghosts finally free to move on. He stops at the dining table, the scene of the reckoning, and wipes it clean. One last gesture of closure. He whispers, "It's over." Not to them, but to the boy he used to be. That night, Ethan lies in bed, the house finally still. The quiet no longer feels empty. It feels earned. He thinks of his grandfather, of the wisdom he left buried in ink and signatures. Somewhere deep inside, Ethan feels that the old man knew this day would come. He closes his eyes and imagines him smiling in approval. The world outside hums softly, no longer threatening, just distant. Ethan breathes in, slow and certain, knowing tomorrow won't carry bitterness, only freedom. Weeks pass. The house stands quieter, cleaner, almost sacred in its silence. Ethan has rented one of the spare rooms to a college friend, and the laughter that fills the halls now feels honest. Still, sometimes he catches himself wondering how they're doing, his parents, Chloe, though he never lets the thought linger long. Then, one evening, a thin envelope arrives in the mail. No return address, only his name in familiar handwriting. Inside is a short note from Linda. "We're sorry. We didn't know how to stop being who we were." Ethan folds the letter neatly, places it on his desk, and stares at it for a long time before whispering, "Neither did I." That weekend, Ethan transfers a quiet sum of money, enough for a few months' rent, to an anonymous account linked to his parents. He never plans to tell them. It isn't forgiveness, not really. It's closure disguised as mercy. He knows they'll never thank him, maybe never even suspect. But he does it anyway, because letting go isn't about who deserves it, it's about who needs peace more. When the confirmation email pings, he exhales like he's setting down a weight that wasn't his to carry anymore. Days later, Chloe appears at the door without warning. She looks smaller now, her confident posture replaced by uncertainty. "Can we talk?" she asks. They sit at the kitchen table, the same table that once saw their family fracture. She admits she didn't know about the deed, that she only found out after everything collapsed. Her voice trembles when she says, "You didn't deserve what they did." Ethan studies her face, searching for the sister he used to know. Maybe, for a moment, he sees her again. They talk for hours, not about money or deeds, but about childhood. The nights they built forts in the living room, the secrets they swore to keep. When she finally stands to leave, Chloe hesitates at the door. "I'll make it right someday," she whispers. Ethan doesn't answer. He just nods, eyes soft, understanding that some debts can't be paid in cash. As she walks down the driveway, the setting sun turns her hair to fire. He watches until she disappears. The silence she leaves behind, no longer aching but healing. That night, the house hums softly with rain again. Ethan sits by the window, gazing out at the streetlight glow. He thinks about everything lost, everything reclaimed, and everything still undecided. Family isn't what raised him, it's what tested him. He's no longer the quiet boy counting dollars and hoping for fairness. He's the man who learned that peace doesn't come from revenge, but from restraint. As thunder rolls faintly in the distance, Ethan whispers to the night, "They didn't break me. They built me." The house, once a prison, now listens in silence, and finally, it feels like home.